6 months later, we see Hayley covered in blood, holding a pickaxe. As she looks very out of it, we see her standing in front of a volcano. As we hear her overvoice saying, "I lost my son a while ago. I was offered something. Ever since everything that's happened to me has been worse." As we see the blood dripping from the pickaxe, as she stands there with a look of fear on her face. Six months earlier, we see blood in the streets, buildings on fire, as we see Hayley, Luke, Miles, and Ashley standing together with their weapons in their hands as we focus on Hayley. As we hear a ringing, as we hear a muffled voice saying, Hey, you listening to me?" Ryan says, "I saw James and some of my men leave with your son." 5 minutes earlier, Ryan looks at all the apostles that he just killed and says, "Amen." He then hears a walkie-talkie going off on the dead apostle as he picks it up and holds it to his ear as James says over the walkie,
"I got the boy. Heading out now. We're going home. What's left of this place is ashes. Let it fucking burn. Next order of business is the assassination of Bishop. You stay safe out there. Our mission is almost done."
An apostle says,
"Copy that, James."
Ryan sees Amelia walks in as she sees all the men that Ryan killed, and she says, "Did I hear that right? They got Billy?" Ryan says, "Hayley's boy, right?" Amelia nods and Ryan says, "Well, I ain't standing here by the sidelines while the mess that I created kills an innocent little boy. We're stopping this right now." 5 minutes later, Ryan stands there and says, "Your son is alive, but I can't guarantee it stays that way." Hayley then tackles Ryan on the ground as she says, "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So thank you for making it easy for me." Amelia and the apostles surround her as Amelia pulls out a gun and points it to Hayley's head and says, "I don't want to do this, Hayley. I don't want to hurt you, but that's my husband. You of all people know exactly what it's like not to have that anymore. And I know you don't want me to feel this, so please step away from my husband." Hayley takes the knife away from Ryan as Ashley says, "If she doesn't do it, I will." Luke says, "You're not getting out of this shithole alive, asshole." Amelia says, "All right, enough. All of you. This is exactly why people keep dying. Because someone blames someone for this or someone blames someone for that. It's not anything else but that we are all just shit human beings trying to survive in a shit fucking world. And the longer we try to kill each other, the more time goes by, the more chances something happens to the children that maniac took. What then, huh? Where will all this fighting lead to at this point, huh?" Everyone stands there and says absolutely nothing, and Amelia says, "Now I'm going to holster my weapon as a sign of good faith, and I suggest that you all do the same." Hayley says, "Do you know where he's taking him?" Ryan says, "The only guess I've got is the nest. Me and my men will give the place one more sweep and look for everyone that may remain. Then we leave. I help you find your boy, I deal with the mess that I created myself, and then... do what you want with me, Mrs. West. Amelia says, no, I can't. Ryan says, babe, I listen to you. Now you listen to me. I killed her husband in cold blood, and there's no taking that back. Fair is fair, and for those who want me dead, fair is all I got. Hayley looks emotionally distraught and says, all right. We see James and his men driving the roads as we see 3 trucks as James is in the last truck with 2 other of his men as he pulls out his walkie and says, Audrin, come in. Audrin is standing on a hill with a group of apostles behind him. As we see Audrin is skinning an animal alive and says, well, would you look at that, gentlemen? All that's left is the value of rot. Figures. He hears the walkie going off and says, James, how's the attack going at the West residence? James says, it's frosting on a fucking birthday cake, but I'm missing a few ingredients if you catch my drift. Isaac got hit in the battle and I have things to do back home. But the problem is I still have things out here to do too. And I can't do both. Audrin says, what do you need? James says, last year when Bishop took you in, you claimed that you used to be a bounty hunter for an old settlement that fell called the Prey. You said you were good at finding just about damn near anything. And well, tonight I'm gonna need you to put those talents to the test. I need you to do the same thing tonight. You see, the place is burned to a crisp, but there still may be a few strays that I know for a fact are remaining. And they're out there somewhere. I want you to hunt all of them down, and that you find all of them and bring their heads when you're done. Audrin says, and what do I get in return? James says, my right hand to the nest. Audrin says, you'll see me soon. James says, I know I will. We zoom out to see Rebecca at the top of a hill with a sniper out as she is looking through the scope as Colin is standing in the woods. As he then runs out in front of the vehicles as he shoots 2 in the front. Rebecca nails the tires of one of them as the truck stops. As James sees this and tries to get away. As Colin and Rebecca fire at his vehicle. As James's car rolls down a huge hill. As it rolls and stops. James's head has a big gash in it. As we see, he looks over at 2 of his other men, and one of them has his legs still in the car, and the other upper half is through the windshield. Colin sees his flipped over car, but then he starts getting shot at by a few more apostles who get out of their vehicles and start shooting at him. As we see Rebecca radios him and says, Colin, sir, there's too many. I'll cover you, but you gotta get back up here. Colin is behind the truck and sees he doesn't have many bullets left, and he says, I can't be sure if James is dead. Rebecca says, we did our job here today, sir. But we have to live too, okay? If your bro wasn't avenged today, he will be. Retreat now. Colin really wants to kill them all, but then he runs back into the woods and goes back up the hill to Rebecca, as Rebecca says, smart choice. Colin says, you're becoming a better shot than me. Rebecca says, well, tell me something I don't know. Colin smiles and says, all right, come on. We got work to do. James opens the door to his flipped over car as he just barely gets out. We see his leg is badly injured as he looks pissed, and as we then see deadheads surround him. He takes out his knife, but then, as he's limping, several apostles come down to save him, as we see a few others kill the running deadheads that are coming for him, as one of them picks him up and says, well, now you may die. James says, shut the fuck up, I'm not dying. Don't make me make you scream, you fucking dimwit. The apostle says, well, you look half dead already. James says, that's true, but more alive than others. Back in Kingstonville, we see a reanimated corpse of Catherine laying in the bloody grass, as we see a hole in her throat, as we see Ryan walks up to her and says, "My apologies, darling. You're just another victim of my sins." Amelia walks up and says, "No, she's not. Just someone else that couldn't be saved." Ryan says, "Why did you point that gun at Mrs. West's head?" Amelia says, "Because I think you're in the right. And you're my husband. And I get why she wanted to, but it doesn't mean that I gotta stand around and let that happen either." We see Ashley and Luke walking up to them, and Ashley says, "We checked every square inch of this place. It's totaled. No one's here." Luke says, "We need to go." Hayley is packing up a van for them to leave, as we see Miles, Luke, and Ashley walk up to her, and Ashley says, "Hey, Hayley, are you doing all right?" Hayley says, "Right now, the only thing that's keeping me sane is that Bishop says that he won't get hurt. It's just the not knowing that's killing me." Ashley hugs her and says, "Look, trust me when I say I know the feeling. I know you probably want to go all Super Saiyan on Bishop right now, but I want you to know that I'm here with you, and I'm with you on this." Miles says, "We all are." Ashley says, "When it's done, and your boy is here with us, for Tom, for Dave, for my brother, for all the people, all the victims that died because of his sins, the kill is yours." Hayley says, "Thanks. I just hope Lincoln would understand why I'm doing this." Ashley says, "I know he would." Hayley says, "Before we go, I just need to do something first." Hayley walks up to what's left of Lincoln's grave and says, "Baby, I don't know what to do anymore. I tried to go along with the demands that I was given and I lost. I fought for what I believed in. And I lost again. This world is nothing but a losing game. That's all. I think I finally know why you were angry all the time. I just don't know how to lead them. I don't know how to lead these people when there's only a good few of them still alive. Our son is gone, and I feel like I'm drifting further away from who I was. And it's scaring the shit out of me, baby. I have to leave to get our son back. And when I get him back, and I know I will, we're gonna go somewhere safe, if there's even such a thing. I'm sorry for leaving you here in this place. But it's for our son. And I hope you understand." She cries as we see Ashley sees her from far, but she lets her have this moment alone. We see Hayley walks up to Ryan and says, "We'll find my son and end this all. Then, me and you, we settle our shit. Deal?" Ryan says, "Consider it a deal, Mrs. West." As we see Hayley, Luke, Miles, and Ashley get into the van, as we see Ryan and Amelia and a few more of Ryan's men get into their trucks, as Hayley looks upset, as they pull out of Kingstonville, and as they drive out together and leave their fallen home behind. As Hayley looks back through the rearview mirror and says, "If this is from family love, we're all in hell." Back with James. We see they get into one of the trucks as the apostles help James get in, as we see James is badly wounded, as the men he's got left start driving away, as we see James is sitting next to Billy, as we see some of the kids that they took from Kingstonville, as Billy sees James holding his wound, as he says, "What happened there, Uncle James?" James says, "Well, some of your mom's people I haven't managed to find yet. They tried to hurt me. Badly. But don't worry. That's exactly why you're with me. Is to end all that. You don't deserve to be with horrible people like that." Billy says, "Why is my mom afraid of you?" James says, "Because she knows the truth, son. Billy, your mom is a very bad person. She's done horrible things, just horrible. Your dad, too. Your dad got your aunt killed. got a lot of people killed. But soon enough, that'll all be over. Billy says, I didn't know. But if my dad's so horrible, why did you kill everybody in our home? James says, to save you, son. Billy looks conflicted, as James looks happy that he may be getting through to him. Later that day, we see a few deadheads on the road as Hayley runs them over with the van. As she says, roads are filled with these things. Ashley sees an old abandoned campsite as she says, there, that'll be our spot for the night. Hayley signals Ryan and the others to pull over. Hayley and the others get out of their vehicles, and Hayley says, we'll camp out here for the night. We need a break from driving anyway. Ryan says, so this is home sweet home for the night. Hayley says, best thing we'll find around here. Later that night, we see Hayley, Ashley, Miles, and Luke on one side of the campsite, and Ryan, Amelia, and a few of the other Apostle defectors are by the water, a little ways away from the rest. As we see the groups are very split, we see Ryan and Amelia sitting together, and Amelia says, do you really think this is going to work? Ryan says, what? You talking about the partnership or getting her son back? Amelia says, both. Ryan says, you know, I've said a lot of things about Mrs. West over the last couple days, but one thing, she isn't reckless. She knows exactly what's at stake here. And she knows I'm the best shot she's got. Although if I'm being honest, and it's gonna sound dark, I'm honestly terrified of knowing what the hell James has done to that kid. Hell, any of them, for that matter. We see one of his people walks up to him and says, we're clear for now, sir, but I heard some growling from not too far. It may not be safe for long. Ryan says, that's fine. We'll take a small rest anyway. Get back on the road in the morning. And, Tegan? Tegan says, yeah? Ryan says, and this is for all 7 of you, really. Thank you. You're truly my loyalists. I failed the Apostles, I know I did, but I thank all of you for standing by my side and fighting for what's right. Tegan says, we've always had your back, sir. And now you, as well as Amelia. We see Hayley, Miles, Luke, and Ashley on the other side, sitting together, cooking up some rabbits that they found. And Hayley says, make them count. God knows how long we'll be out here. Ashley says, no longer than we need to. We'll find something. I know we will. We'll give Billy a nice place to grow up, too. Luke says, damn right we will. Miles says, Hayley, are you sure you want Ryan around? Because no matter what you say the word right now for me to go over there and chop his damn head off, and I will do just that. Hayley says, you know, I said something last week, and I meant it. I'm tired of killing. I'm tired of war. Amelia was right. Killing each other right now is just a big waste of energy and resources, and look at us. We need all that we have, and that is something that we cannot spare. She takes 2 squirrels and says, I'll be right back. Ryan sees her coming towards them, and he starts walking towards her, as she then hands him the squirrels and says, here, for you and your men. Make it count. Ryan says, thank you. So, you down to hear my plan on how we get in? Hayley says, let's just get through tonight. Because after tonight, I don't know if I'll come out the same person. We'll go over the plan tomorrow. We see Miles splits off and goes down the hill as he pulls out his swords and starts training. As Ashley sees him and says, wow, you're good with that thing. Miles says, thanks. I had a sensei. Taught me a lot of good. Thought it'd be a good idea to know how to defend myself better. Although my skills, there's a lot of blood and lives that were taken in the process learning what I needed to know to survive. Ashley says, I'm sorry. Although your skills are great for a world like this. Mind if I test it out? Miles says, why not? Gonna need the training anyway before we go in. Ashley pulls out her sword as they then start sword fighting, and Miles says, "Damn, you're pretty good. Who taught you?" Ashley says, "My boyfriend. He used to do this type of shit all the time, so one day I got him to teach me. I miss him every single day." Miles says, "Well, I had a family. I only recently had the guts to go back and put them down." Ashley says, "It sucks, right?" Miles says, "Yeah. I try not to think about it. Otherwise, it'll just wear me down." Ashley says, "I think about my boyfriend all the time. Because if I didn't think about him, I would lose everything he taught me. Everything about him makes me stronger." Miles says, "Honestly, that's what I should be doing." Their conversation then gets interrupted by a big sound of thunder as we see rain is starting to fall. As we see a thunderstorm is coming. Hayley and Ryan and the others see this as they then see a bunch of deadheads start running out of the woods towards them. Miles and Ashley run down to help as they all pull out their weapons and fight the deadheads together as one united force. Miles then comes up behind one as he then sees a huge claw come out of the deadhead's hand as it grabs Miles and stabs him in the gut. Ryan then tackles the deadhead down and stabs it in the head over and over again as Ashley says, "Oh my god. Miles, are you okay?" Ryan says, "That's a fucking deadhead." Ashley says, "We gotta get Miles out of here, now. There's more coming." They rush an injured Miles into the van as Ryan looks at the corpse of the deadhead as he then sees the claw and he says, "What the fuck?" Amelia says, "Ryan, come on." Ryan gets in as we see the deadheads banging on the window as Luke says to Hayley, "Drive!" as they pull out with everyone crammed in Hayley's van as they had to leave Ryan's truck behind. As we see Miles in the back bleeding very badly as Hayley sees deadheads on the road as she plows through a bunch of them. She then slams the brakes and says, "There's too many of them." Luke says, "We can't just turn back, they're behind us too." Hayley looks back at everyone and puts her foot on the gas, and Ryan says, "We have one way out of this, Mrs. West, and that's forward." Hayley says, Okay, hang on." She speeds down the road as we have a zoom out as we see the van just plowing through several deadheads on the road as the blood goes all over the windshield of the vehicle. As the van stops and Ryan says, "Why the hell did we stop?" Hayley says, "The car is toast. I can't move it. It's not moving." As we zoom out from the van, as we see what looks to be over 5,000 deadheads down the road, as Hayley says, "We gotta bail." Luke says, "All right, me and Amelia help Miles." Hayley says, "Yeah, and the rest are with me. We're gonna clear the way, get in the woods, and get off the road. We ready? Okay, let's go." They open the doors as Ashley and Ryan are slicing several deadheads in front of them. As we see Luke and Amelia carrying Miles out as Tegan clears a path to the woods and says, "Over here." Hayley kills a few others and says, "Through the woods." They run into the woods as everyone looks out of breath as we hear more thunder and lightning as Ryan says, "Oh, I'll be damned if we get stuck out here in this shit." Hayley says, "No, we'll find something. Come on." Back with James. We see him getting back to the nest as he enters and goes to see Isaac, as we see him on a bed as an apostle is tending to him, and James comes out of the shadows and says, "Oh, is he?" The apostle says, "He'll pull through, but he's probably going to be unconscious for a few days." James says, "A few days? We're at war here." He calms himself down and says, "Okay. Thank you for your help, Apostle Seth." Seth replies and says, "Of course, James." James says, "You call me boss for now on." "Of course, James." James says, "Hey, you call me boss for now on. Bishop is gone, and for good." Seth looks scared as James exits the room and he says, "Why don't you just focus on cleaning his shit?" We see James walks up to an apostle and says, "All the children from Kingstonville, make sure to get them looked at, settled in, and get them whatever they want. We need them strong." The apostle just nods as James walks away. We see Billy sitting in a fancy room as James walks in and says, "Will this do?" Billy says, "What?" James says, "Well, your new home. You see, a lot of your friends are here, and they're getting their own places, but you, my son, get to live with the big dogs. Me and Isaac, once he's up, of course. Billy asks, what happened to him? James says, he got badly hurt last night trying to get you and everyone else here. Sadly, he took a bad hit, but he's probably going to pull through. Billy says, wait, he got hurt trying to bring me here? James does a fake sad face and says, yeah. But you know, it all worked out because, he'll pull through. And you're here now. So, even after everything, I still think we won. Billy looks at James and says, I never wanted anyone to get hurt. Whatever you want, Uncle James. Anything you need, I'll do it. James smiles and walks away as Billy looks at himself through the reflection of the TV as he says, I miss you, Mommy. As he breaks down and cries. Back with Audrin. We see he and 10 other apostles walking the roads in the storm as we see him discover Ryan's truck that's been left there, and Audrin says, well, it's not my style, but look here, gentlemen, we got some breadcrumbs. As he then takes it and gets in, as Audrin says, I said to James I would finish this bullshit war, so now it's time for war. As we then see what's left of Ryan's drink is still in there, as he pulls it out and drinks the whole thing and says, yummers. We see time passes as the storm is getting worse, as we see a lighthouse in the distance, as Amelia says, oh, thank God. We see they enter this empty lighthouse as they lay Miles down on a couch, as Hayley says, alright, I think we're okay for now, but we need to find something to slow down the bleeding. She goes up the stairs and looks out, but then she sees lights driving towards them as Hayley looks worried, and Audrin and his men stop the truck and get out. We see a few more apostles on motorcycles as they also pull over. We see he has a chainsaw for a prosthetic arm as he gives a signal to the apostles to spread out. Hayley comes downstairs and whispers, it's them. They're trying to find us, Ryan says. I assume it's James? He's probably here for a final fight, huh? He looks out the window and sees Audrin standing out in the rain as we see him starting to head towards the lighthouse for shelter. And Tegan says, you stay ready. Ryan says, what the hell are you doing? Tegan says, I'm buying you time. For my bishop. Ryan tries to stop her, but she opens the door anyway and walks out alone as we hear the thunder, and Audrin sees her and says, Apostle Tegan, I didn't expect to see you alive. What the hell are you doing here? Tegan says, oh, I've been out on the run, trying to catch some of Mrs. West's people, and then the storm hit. It's bloody windy out here. Audrin says, so there's no one else with you, huh? Tegan says, it's just me. Audrin says, you know I was a lawyer before this, right? So I can sniff out a liar from a mile away. So what the fuck are you hiding? Tegan holds her knife behind her, getting ready. But then, Ryan opens the door and says, the leader you turned on, asshole. He pulls out his gun and opens fire on a bunch of them as Audrin and some others scatter, as Hayley, Luke, Ashley, Amelia, and the others follow Ryan as they all start killing apostles in the rain, as we see Hayley kills an apostle as they then drop a pickaxe, as Hayley then takes it and uses it to kill another apostle. Ryan takes one of the apostles down as the apostle says to him, Bishop, are you gonna kill your own soldier in the name of God? Ryan says, killing in the name of religion is an act of a cult. Excuse me, son. I didn't raise a fucking cult. He stabs him and kills him, as we then see Ashley slices several apostles up, as we see Audrin tackles her to the ground and says, you turned your back on us. Hell, you trained all of us. Ashley says, yeah, and it's a shame. Because I gotta admit, you fight like shit. She cuts his arm as he then kicks her in the face, as he screams out and pulls out a double-barrel shotgun, as Ashley says, just shoot me. It's the coward way out anyway. Audrin says, oh, don't worry. I'm a fair man. Ladies first. Out of nowhere, all the apostles start getting shot down. As Audrin sees this and gets on one of the motorcycles and drives away quickly before they get him too. As he rides away and looks back and flips them off as he drives out. As we then see Colin and Rebecca come in and says, we heard the gunshots. Everyone okay? Hayley says, yeah. Thanks, guys. Colin then sees Ryan and points his gun towards him, and Hayley actually stands between both of them, and Colin says, what the hell is he doing here? Hayley says, look, I know how it looks, okay? He's helping us, okay, for now. James took my son, Colin, and he's the only one that can help us get him back. We'll kill James, all right? We will settle this. But for now, I need Ryan alive. Colin doesn't look sure, but he puts the gun down and orders Rebecca to do the same, as he says, well, as long as James dies, I'm fine. Hayley says, he will. I promise. As they all stand there with dead apostles all around. We see the storm starting to pass, as we see everyone inside the lighthouse, as we see Miles is still in horrible pain, as Hayley says, hey, you still with us? Miles says, damn right. One stab to the gut ain't enough to take this fucker down. Ryan walks out and goes to his truck as he grabs a medical bag that he had in the back of his truck. As he brings it in and says, here, had this in the truck that jackass took. It's got some serious painkillers, gauze, and whatever else you need. Help him get back on his feet again. As he walks out, and Hayley looks conflicted because Ryan may have just saved Miles' life. We see Ryan downstairs melting metal on a new weapon as Tegan walks down and says, so this is your great destiny, is it? Ryan says, what is? Tegan says, providing those people that you're not a bad man. Ryan says, actually no. I don't really give a fuck what they think about me. They should want me dead. I know I went way too far, and I see that now. But I'll be damned if I let an innocent man die on my watch. We gotta have people to rebuild when it's over. Hell, rebuilding society is the vital role to repopulating the earth. Tegan laughs and says, repopulating? Did you just say that with a straight face? Ryan says, I say everything with a straight face. Look, you put your life on the line out there for me today. And that's exactly what I just did for Miles. And because of that, I will consider you my official right-hand woman. If it's something that you want. Tegan says, well, of course. Are we building a new apostle group? Ryan says, yep. And they're all in this building right now. We see all the dead bodies on the ground as they're walking through the dead bodies, as Ashley says. They already know where we are. They already know that we're trying to get in. There's no way in now. Ryan looks back at Ashley and smirks and says, oh yes. Yes, there is. How many people are we all together? Ashley says, I don't know, like 15? Ryan says, that'll be enough. He takes one of the neon masks off of the dead apostle, as he says, blending in with the enemy. If we do that, we've already won this war.
Put you in the ground.